Well, he is. Look at all the things that the Democrats have thrown at him. Look at all the prosecutions that has been thrown at him. Look at the money that he's had to spend defending himself. There's nobody else in our country that would be able to withstand the things that he's withstood. And we all know the Russia Gate and Russia collusion hoax. That's all been debunked now. And he had to deal with that for years in the beginning of his presidency. So there really isn't anybody that's a tougher fighter. I've been with him days on end. We went to Iowa campaigning together. I was with him all day, and he has a level of energy that I do not have. It's amazing how he just continues to fight, and he's took it as a mantle now that there's nobody else that can fight, that doesn't have the resources like he does, and the energy like he does to fight for the American people and fight for the America First agenda.
Yeah, Congressman, it's Scott Martin. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for all your service, of course, and everything. And I'm glad you're feeling better from some of the things over the last year or so, the accident on the ladder and things like that, which I'd love to talk about because I fell off a ladder, by the way, about 6 months ago. So we've got that kind of in common, unfortunately. Resources, speaking of fire and fight, how about men competing in USA Olympic sports as far as women's sports, amateur sports, things like that? You and Tommy Tuberville had introduced some legislation on banning that practice or that activity. Could you give us an update on where that is and how that stands?
Yeah, we were able to protect the Women's and Girls in Sports Act early last year that passed the House. What was shocking was not a single Democrat voted for that bill that simply says that we want to keep women's sports. Congress in the 70s created Title IX specifically to give women their own avenue to be able to play on their own playing field. So the fact that every single Democrat thinks that we should have biological men competing in women's sports, not just at the high school level, at the college level, competing for scholarships. I mean, we've all seen the Riley Gaines, Leah Thomas thing. We've all seen this, in the beginning, about 5 years ago, the Democrats would say, oh, this never happens. And now just about every time you turn on the TV or read something in a sports blog or something, you see that this is happening in wrestling. You see that this is happening now in boxing. Well, USA Boxing gets their authority through the Olympics through Congress. So what we're going to work on, we passed the women's and girls sports bill last year. Of course, the Senate's not going to take it up because it's run by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. But we passed another bill after USA Boxing came out with a policy that allows biological men to compete with women in boxing. I mean, you talk about some of these other sports and you can maybe make an argument. I don't think you can, but maybe make an argument. But boxing, we're going to allow biological men to box females in Olympics boxing. So we filed a bill. It passed through committee on a party line vote. It should be set up for the floor probably in the next month or so, and then it'll go to the Senate. And I'm sure Tuberville will bring it up for a vote, but they'll kill it over there because the Democrats have the majority over there. But this is like a 75-80% issue. If you talk to even Democratic moms, they don't want biological men in their daughters' locker rooms in middle school or in high school for volleyball or you name it. It's not just a safety thing. It's all the other things that come along with it.
It absolutely is, Congressman. Let's get into the annual congressional baseball game. I know you're pretty hyped up for this one. I saw your tweet earlier, and all I have to say is, as one of your constituents, you're going to have my vote after this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's actually one of the fun things that we get to do in Washington every single year, and the Republicans take it very seriously. We're at practice at 5:45 a.m. on the days we're in D.C. We're ready to go. I've been ready to go. So I'll be starting on the mound pitching for the Republicans. And if the Democrats will throw to me this time, maybe I'll hit another one out of the park. Last year, they walked me 3 times. And I've been giving the Democratic pitchers a hard time. Like, guys, it's a charity game that's played once a year. Just throw me strikes, anything near the strike zone. And I would appreciate that. Last year, they were thrown in the dirt and over my head and walked me 3 times. So we'll see if they do that or not.
Yeah, Congressman, the money line, by the way, on the Republicans is minus 600. I'm still going to take it because you're on the team. Is there any chance? I mean, I hear Angel Hernandez is not going to be officiating the game, and Joe West is not either. That gives me some promise. But furthermore, is there any chance we could get AOC or Elizabeth Warren up at the plate for you to throw maybe a fastball, maybe kind of close, maybe high and tight, maybe give a couple of them some chin music too while we're at it?
Well, that would be certainly interesting. She's never played. Obviously, Elizabeth Warren has never played. They do have some women that have played in the past. Linda Sanchez is now their manager. She used to hit a couple of times. And then Nanette Berenger, I think is her last.
Yes, Berrigan, yes.
She played not last year, but the year before. So if we get ahead enough, they'll bring them in to hit, but they didn't last year. So we'll see. We have a few people on our side, some women that are willing to get up there and hit. Joni Ernst out of Iowa, senator out of Iowa. She actually can hit the ball pretty well. So I've been kind of nudging the coach if we get ahead enough to let her get in at bat. Kat Kamek likes to run the bases and run over Democrats at home plate. You can just look up that video. That's a pretty famous video of her running full speed into the Democratic catcher. So we have some women on our side that like to play as well.
I love that. I would definitely play if I was in Congress. We saw in that last video your home run from 2021. That was the first out of the park home run in the congressional baseball game in almost 40 years. Before we started the show, you hopped on early. I was just kind of casually going back and forth, and you're saying, I've already been pitching. I've had batting practice. Get into kind of how you've been prepping for this.
Yeah, so the Republicans will start practice like 4 months out, the mornings that we're in DC. And then because I pitch and I'm 46, I can't just like walk up and throw 120 pitches on the mound. I have to kind of like grade up and get prepared. So I'll work out with the Sarasota High School baseball team. I practice up in DC, and then I have a pitching batting cage here on my property so I can get up to that. Last week we had a scrimmage against former MLB guys, an over 50 league. And I threw 75 on the mound, probably 20 in the bullpen before that. But you definitely have to get I'm not 20 something anymore. You definitely have to get your arm prepared for throwing. Last year, I only threw 65 and 3/4 innings. But my very first year I pitched, I threw 142 off the mound. So your body it feels like you got hit by a train. So you definitely have to prepare for that. But I'm ready to go. Yeah. So I'd encourage everybody that's listening and watching Fox Sports 1 Wednesday night at 7 p.m.
Congressman, those are Mike Scott type numbers back in the Astro days when he used to throw 132 pitches in about 10 innings. They would extend him into the extra innings. And something too, I mean, based on those stats, I'm in Chicago. We need you maybe for the Chicago White Sox too up here, because the fact that they don't have anybody that's willing to play as hard as it seems like you are for the Republicans. Any chance we can bring back the old school Florida Marlins, the old teal with the big F and the fish on the hat back in the day? Because now the Miami Marlins, man, I'll tell you, not that interesting as far as colors and scheme.
Yeah, bring it back. I think it looks good. I would. After I hit the home run, there was a lot of talk amongst Fox and ESPN that maybe some major leagues were going to reach out to a member of Congress, see if he could DH. But I haven't gotten any phone calls. But I'm certainly willing to look at that. I can make a lot more money hitting baseballs on a baseball field than being a member of Congress. So that would be fun.
Oh, that's great. I have to know though. So we're over here watching you hit home runs. We're seeing, catchers getting mowed down. How civil really is this game? Do you guys have trash talk? Do you guys talk shop? Are we discussing policies? Is the catcher talking to the batter when you get up there? What is like the environment there?
It is collegial. We're certainly not talking shop or politics. I will say it's collegial, but it also is kind of, it's obviously there's a lot of rivalry. You got the Republicans and the Democrats. The stadium is awesome. Last year was almost 30,000 people in that stadium, and literally it is split in two. Half the stadium is red Republican, the other half is Democrat and blue. And so it's kind of fun to play in an environment where half the stadium hates you and half the stadium is all in for you. It's a lot of fun, but there is some collegiality, and I've gotten to know some of the Democrat players really well. And you actually get to know your Republican colleagues very well, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, being on a baseball field at 5:45 every morning. You're in DC getting ready for the game.
I love that. Probably gives you guys some really good camaraderie as well. Maybe you can make some friends even in Congress.
Let's come together. Yes.
That's what we need. We need more come together, especially on the Republican side. A couple other things I wanted to talk about with the baseball game. I heard the climate protesters were going to be targeting this game. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they did this last year. They talk a big talk. Because of the level of security and in past history, like the year I hit the home run, Joe Biden was there. So like they shut down all of the blocks around the stadium. They tried to like lay down and stop traffic. You're not going to be able to do that. They got into the game last year and then dropped a bunch of huge banners. And then, within like 5 minutes, Capitol Police and local law enforcement are on top of that. So they will certainly try something. We got warned last year that if somebody tries to get onto the field, just let law enforcement deal with it. But they talk a big talk. I've never really seen anything significant there. There's so much security for the game because you've got some years it's been the president, some years been the vice president. You got tons of members of Congress there. So the level of security makes it very difficult for somebody to pull something off to stop it.